Hello and welcome to this interview. I'm delighted to be interviewing Josie, who took part in Harmonious Family Happy Life the first time round. And so thank you very much for joining me for this interview, Josie.
That's okay, with a pleasure.
Great. So I know we'd worked together before, hadn't we, prior to the course?
Yes.
And so how was life for you before with the children? What was happening? And yeah.
Prior to the course or prior to working with you?
Prior to the course, and you may not have been exactly where anybody or everybody else would be, but how was it for you?
Well, I felt like since I'd worked with you before, I'd made a lot of advancements with parenting in general and just the reassurance of the respectful parenting approach, because at times you can feel like you want to revert back to the old school methods of punishments and shouting and all those things, but actually having worked with you already, I was on that road already to knowing that this was the right way, and I knew that it worked. When I took the course, I just felt like I still struggled at times when emotions were running high with my children, or when I was particularly stressed. I couldn't always remember how to approach things. I feel like my language with my children was a bit stilted, and thinking, what am I supposed to do here? What's the best way of dealing with this? And I wanted to be able to come to these problems with just more fluidity and in a more natural manner, and just be able to know how to deal with it very, very quickly. And I felt that joining your course would give me a more in-depth look at my parenting and why children behave the way they do at different times, and it would allow me to feel like everything flowed a bit better, that it would come more naturally to me.
And did you feel that understanding came to you as we progressed through the course?
Yes, definitely. And I think for me, one of the biggest takeaways from the course was the importance of our own looking after ourselves, and the importance of where our own emotional state, and feeling well rested, and feeling like we're filling up our own cups before we go to our children. And your course was set out in a way that allowed us to really focus on specific things about ourselves that were maybe causing us to snap at our children at times, and realizing that it's not always really about the children. It's usually something that's affecting us, whether we've not had enough sleep, or whether we've got something else in our mind, or whether it's more of a sort of deep-seated belief that we've had about ourselves that's recurring and causing us to not handle things very well. And I think your course allowed me to understand that a lot more, and see that looking after yourself as a mum or as a parent is one of the most crucial things that you can do, because if you can't look after yourself and you don't feel good, you can't then look after your children. You're not in the right mind frame, and that's when you can get really irritable and snappy, and then that leads to feelings of guilt afterwards.
Yeah, so it's a kind of cycle. And what you're saying sounds to me like you got some quite practical self-knowledge. Like you got the knowledge, but it wasn't just a aha. It was a kind of knowledge that motivated you to approach yourself in a different way.
Yeah, definitely. I think we did a session on our beliefs, and we looked in depth at a certain belief we might have about ourselves and tried to change that into a more positive light. And I've done that with you previously as well, and I've always found that to be such a profound experience. And I've always come away from those experiences and really felt the change in myself and the way I see myself. And just that sort of often a lot of the work we did with you was about grounding yourself and taking things, just looking at yourself a little bit deeper, and realizing that what your how can I say this, that what your inner state is counts a lot when you're parenting. Like it's so important.
Absolutely. And did you find that this more natural language that you were kind of aware that was lacking at the beginning, you felt, you said it felt a bit stilted or something, did that start to flow, on the basis of that, of this this better, more tuned inner state?
Definitely. Yeah, I think you gave us very specific conversations that we could have with, like, almost like to the word, phrases you can use, and going really in depth into those in some of the sessions, and using your own scenarios with it, was having the time to think of your own scenarios and how you would then react and use those phrases, allowed me to use them the following week or even the following day. So that really helped. And I could also tell that when I was starting to feel a little bit irritated with my children, or I was feeling a little bit annoyed, or I was tired, I would remember those phrases. And even if you're not feeling great, those phrases can still be really useful. And they also do have this sense of reminding you, oh, I can do it that way. And it does just diffuse things a little bit. Even if you're perhaps not feeling 100%, those phrases are really key. I just found that, I think the two things together, I just found really, really helpful. It was practical, useful things rather than just theory.
Brilliant. And I think you shared more recently that you and your husband had done an experiment with this kind of language and how it affected your children's behavior. Yeah, would you?
Yeah, that was during lockdown. My son was getting quite angry during lockdown, and it can be partly because of lockdown, and also he tends to go through these phases of being quite angry, and then he comes out the other side. And I always find that when I deal with things calmly, patiently, and with empathy, these issues, they just stop very quickly. But it's like we said, sometimes it depends on my own state of mind whether I feel like I've got the patience and the energy to react like that, especially if it's aggressive, because that can really trigger me. So we decided to put up a tally chart for ourselves where it was just a very simple smiley face on one side and a sad face on another. And every time we reacted in a patient, calm, positive, empathic way, we would get a little tick in the smiley face box. And every time we didn't do so well, we'd put a tick in the other side. And we got quite competitive between us as well, which sort of helped. It helped motivate us. And we noticed, I think we had about a 4 or 5 day run where we managed to stay really positive. And my son's behavior just changed. So I remember there was the whole month of May, he was just in such good form. And we did ask ourselves, is it because of that, do you think? And then we did it again later on when things weren't going so well again, and it was the same. And I'm actually doing one at the moment. I mean, I'm in the middle of one at the moment, and I think it's just, he knows that every time I deal with him in that really empathic, kind, calm way, there's no shame, there's no anger, there's no judgment on him. And he just moves on very quickly to the next thing. We haven't made a big deal out of anything. And we can all just carry on within a few minutes. And it's all fine. And I just find that that happens every day for a few days. His behavior is amazing. It really is. And I have to really look after myself over those days. If I know I'm going into these tally charts, I have to make sure I'm well rested, because I can still feel myself get triggered. But I think seeing that, having that visual reminder for myself, just helps me to say, no, come on, we're on day 3 or we're on day 4, things are going well. Let's keep it going. And so yeah, that's just a little trick that we found really useful for ourselves.
That's wonderful. And it works, and that's the beauty of it, that it's kind of worked with consistency, and you know when you can draw on that, return to what you choose, and we're always, that's just great. I love that story. It's almost like a piece of research.
Yeah, it just goes to show, doesn't it, that it's so much comes from us, and how we react to things. And that's a lot of responsibility to take as a parent, but it's also, when you can get it right, it has amazing results. So it's worth trying to look after yourself so that you can do that.
Yeah, and it puts us at the point of choice and empowerment. Yeah, it is a responsibility, and it also means, yeah, we have the opportunity as well. That's wonderful. So what would you think about someone who's thinking about taking this journey and joining Harmonious Family Happy Life? What would you say to them?
I would recommend it to anybody. I mean, even if you don't feel like you're particularly struggling, you will still come away with something that you'll have tangible tools to use in day-to-day situations. You will get a better sense of yourself and what fulfills you, what's perhaps missing in your life. If you feel like you're bogged down with parenting at times and you're not getting anything for yourself, this course allows you to take a look at that a bit more closely and make sure you're getting your own needs met, which is so key. And so I think that's the balance of looking at yourself and your own life and making sure your needs are met, having tangible, workable, practical tools to use with your children, and on top of that, having this community of other mums supporting each other, giving each other advice. That's just I think it's brilliant for any parent. I think any parent should do it. Struggling or even finding things relatively okay, I think it would be a brilliant thing for people to do.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Josie, for doing this interview with me and sharing with others who may be, wondering, and giving them an insight into, how it was for you and what changed. And
You're welcome. And thank you very much for all the work that you do. I think you're doing a wonderful job, and it's a brilliant course.
Thank you.